Once upon a time there was a farmer. He had a small son, only the size of a thumb, who he raised for many years without growing any bigger. One day the farmer was about to go to the fields to plow when his little son said, "Dad, let me go to the fields with you." Dad said, "Are you going to the fields with me? You stay home. There and number 39's nothing I can do to help. You might even get lost." Tiny fell down crying. The father put Tiny in his bag to keep him quiet. Arriving at the field, the father took out his son and sat him on the newly plowed soil. Just as Tiny was sitting, a giant came over the mountain on the other side. "Dad threatened me. There, you and number 39's coming to get me." Hearing that, the giant only took a few steps and reached the furrow. He used 2 fingers to gently lift little Hun up to look at it and quietly carried it away. The father stood there but was too scared to say a word, thinking to himself, he would probably never see his son and number 39's face again. The giant brought little Tiny home and breastfed him. Little Tiny grows as fast as a giant. After raising it for 2 years, the giant took it into the forest to test its strength. He said, "You pull a stake for me." Now Tiny is very healthy. It uprooted a young tree, including its roots. But the giant thought, it needs to be stronger than that. He brought it home and raised it for another 2 years. The second time it tried, it was much stronger than before and was able to uproot an old tree. The giant was not satisfied, so he brought it back to raise him for another 2 years. 2 years later, he took it back into the forest and said, "Now pull out a big stake for me." It uprooted the largest oak tree with ease. Hearing the cracking sound, the giant said, "That and number 39's okay? You have learned well." He led it to the field where he caught it before. His father is plowing. He came closer and said, "Dad, do you recognize me? I and number 39's big and strong now." The father panicked and said, "No, you are not my son. I Don and number 39's recognize you. Go away." "You are my son, Dad. Let me plow. I know how to plow, maybe plow better than Dad." Dad replied, "No, no, you are not my son. You Don and number 39's know how to plow. Go away." When his father saw how big he was, he got scared, gave up plowing, stepped back and stood aside. The giant held the plow like he was holding a fork. He pressed his hand down and the plow dug deep into the field. The father saw this and shouted, "If you want to plow, Don and number 39's push the plow too deep or it will break." The young giant then unmounted his horse, pulled the plow himself and said, "Dad, just go home. Dad told Mom to cook a lot for me to eat, so I could plow the land." The father came home and told his wife to cook. The giant plowed 2 large fields alone. After plowing, he installed 2 harrows at once to harrow the fields. When he finished harrowing, he went into the forest and pulled up 2 oak trees to use as poles to carry the horse and plow home. He carried it lightly, looking like a burden of straw. Entering the yard, the mother did not recognize her child, so she asked, "Who is so big?" The father said, "That and number 39's my son." The mother said, "No, that never happened. I Don and number 39's have a child that big. My child used to be as small as a thumb." Then she said loudly, "Go away. We won and number 39's T except you." The giant said nothing, went to put the horse in the stable, fed the horse with grain and grass as usual, then went into the room and sat down and said, "Mom, I and number 39 am very hungry, have you finished eating yet?" Mom said, "And quat. It and number 39 's done." And quat, and served 2 large bowls of food, so much food that if they had eaten, it would have taken 8 days to finish it all. The giant ate all the food alone and had nothing else to eat. The mother said, "No, it and number 39 's all gone. That and number 39 's just dessert, you still have to eat." She quietly went down to the kitchen and placed a large pot on the stove the size of a pot to cook pork bran, and after cooking, she brought it up to her children. The giant said, "This and a few pieces are gone." He ate it all alone, but he still felt hungry. He said, "Dad, I can and number 39 eat enough at home. Dad bought me a hard iron bar, the kind you can keep on your knee, so it 1 and number 39 break, and then you and number 39 travel the world." Dad liked it very much. He hitched 2 horses to the cart and went to the smithy to buy a big, thick iron bar, heavy enough to pull 2 horses. He let the iron bar break in 2 like a stick, then he threw it away. The father drove away again, bringing back a long iron bar that 4 horses struggled to pull. He also broke the iron bar in half and threw it away. He said, "Dad, this iron bar cannot be used. Dad, get me another, bigger iron bar." He drove an 8-horse cart and brought back a heavy iron bar that 8 horses could pull home. He took the iron bar and broke a piece off the end, then said, "Dad, I see you can and number 39 bring me the iron bar I want. So I and number 39 am not at home anymore." Having finished speaking, he immediately set off. He went to that village, where there was a stingy blacksmith who never gave anything to anyone in his life, only holding on to his wealth. He came to apply for a job. Uncle looked at him and thought, "This guy is big and strong and has a good handle, it would be worth the money to raise him." Uncle asked, "How much salary do you get?" He replied, "I Don and number 39 get paid. But every 2 weeks, when you receive your wages, I only ask you for 2 stones, please bear with me." The stingy man is very happy to see that he doesn't and 39 have to pay wages. The next morning, the foreman took out the red iron bar and anviled it. The new giant had a hammer, but it was so strong that the iron bar was broken in half, and the anvil sank so deep that it was impossible to pull it up. The miserly foreman said angrily, "Oh my God, I can and number 39 hire you. Who in their life would spin a hammer so hard? If you can only hit 1 hammer, how will you be paid?" He said, "I just want to give you a small stone." He raised his foot and gave the master a kick, and the foreman flew over 4 piles of straw. Then he took the largest iron bar from the forge as a walking stick. Arriving at a camp, he asked if he needed a maid. The farm owner said, "Need someone. He looks healthy, probably able to do the job. How much do you want to earn per year?" He replied that he did not need a salary, he only asked the boss to accept 3 punches from me every year. The farm owner is also a stingy guy, so he really likes it. The next morning all the servants had to go into the forest to find firewood. Everyone had taught, but the giant was still sleeping. Someone called out to him, "It and number 39's time, get up quickly. We and number 39 re going to go get firewood, get up and go with us." He grumbled stubbornly, "Just go. I and number 39 am behind you guys, but I and number 39 LL go first so you can see." He slept for another 2 hours, then got out of bed. He took 2 buckets of white beans to cook porridge. After eating the porridge, he leisurely sat down to saddle his horse and go into the forest to get firewood. Nearing the forest, he had to go through a muddy valley. He pulled the cart past this place and then turned around, pulling up trees and bushes to fill the hollow. Arriving at the forest, he met people driving carts carrying firewood. He told them, "Just go, I will come back first to see." He continued a little further and then stopped the car. He selected and uprooted the 2 largest ancient trees, then loaded them onto the cart. The driver returned. When he reached the newly filled road, he saw that the other people were blocked and could not continue. He said, "You see, if we sleep any longer, will we go and return together?" Horses could not pull the cart through the muddy road. He took off the horse and loaded it onto the cart. Then he held the 2 forks of the cart with both hands. Whoosh! He pulled the cart across like pulling a cart full of duck feathers. After pulling, he said, "See, now you and number 39 re faster than everyone else." He drove the cart and continued while the others stood there. The car drove into the yard. He picked up a stick, showed it to the owner and said, "Do you think this piece of firewood is beautiful?" The farm owner told his wife, "This guy is quite good. He woke up late, but left before the other guys. It and number 39's been a year since he and number 39's been around the camp. Those who live there receive a salary." He thought, "It and number 39's time for me to get paid too." The boss was afraid of having to eat his punches, so he tried to ask for a postponement, wanting to persuade him to change positions. The teacher became the servant became the teacher. He said, "No, I Don and number 39 want to be a teacher. I am a resident, I keep my status as a resident. I keep it exactly as in the contract." The farmer promised to give him whatever he asked for, but no matter what he said, he answered en quote, "Number." En quote. Not knowing what to do, he asked for 14 days to think. He agreed to that. The farm owner then gathered all the servants to see if anyone had any plans. They thought about it and then said in unison, "Touching that guy would kill me. It kills people like a mosquito." They discussed that they should send him down to scrape the well. While he was at the bottom of the well, they would roll down the millstone and break his head so that he would never see the sun again. The farm owner thought it was a good plan. The giant agreed to dredge the well. When he reached the bottom of the well, they immediately rolled down the largest millstone, thinking he would break his head. But they heard him calling out, "Hey, chase the chickens up there. It reduces the falling sand. The dust gets in your eyes so you can and number 39 see anything." The boss cried, en quote, "Hush. Hush, en quote. Pretend to chase chickens." After dredging the well, he went to shore and said, "Look, does the necklace I wear look beautiful?" It was a large stone cutting board that was hung around his neck. Now he asked for money again, but the owner asked for another 14 days to think. All the servants gathered to discuss how to deal with it. They discussed and sent him to grind flour at night in a haunted mill. No one can go there and return. The owner thought it was a good plan, so he immediately called him over and said, "We need flour. Take 8 barrels of wheat to the mill and grind it there tonight." He stuffed 2 barrels into his right pocket and 2 barrels into his left pocket. The 4 barrels were put into a long bag that was slung across the shoulders, creating 2 barrels in front of the chest and 2 barrels behind the back. Then he went to the mill. The miller and number 39's owner told him that milling during the day was fine, but whoever milled at night would be found dead in the mill the next morning. He replied, "I have a way to escape. Please rest assured and go to sleep carefully." Then he went into the mill and poured the wheat into the mill. About 11:00 and number 39's at night he went and sat on a chair in the miller and number 39's room. A moment later, the door suddenly opened. A large table entered. Wine, roasted meat and many delicious dishes naturally jump onto the table without anyone serving them. The chair automatically moves back. No people were seen, only hands were seen holding a knife and fork to put food on a plate. He was hungry and saw delicious food, so he sat at the table and ate until he was full and satisfied. When he had eaten enough and the others had emptied their plates, there was a whooshing sound. It seemed like someone slapped his ear. He thought to himself, "If you slap my ear again, I will hit you back." Being slapped a second time, he hit back immediately. The 2 sides fought endlessly until dawn. The next morning, the miller ran to see how he was doing. He was surprised to see that he was still alive. He said, "I was able to eat and drink to my heart and number 39's content. I was slapped, but I slapped back well." The owner was happy because the mill would no longer have ghosts. He asked him how much money he would like to give him. He replied that he had enough money to spend and did not want to take it. He carried the bags of flour back to the camp, reported to the owner that the work had been completed and asked for payment. Hearing about the wages, the farm owner panicked. He walked back and forth in the room, sweating, but could and #39's think of a plan. He opened the window to get some fresh air when suddenly the giant kicked him and flew through the window high into the sky. The giant told the farm owner again, "If you Don and number 39's come back, you will have to endure another kick." The hostess cried, "No, no. I can and number 39's stand it." She was so scared that her forehead was sweating. She opened another window to get some fresh air and was immediately kicked by the giant. She flew higher than him because she was lighter. He shouted to her, "Come here." She replied, "You come here, but I can and number 39's come to you." The couple kept floating in the air. No one could get close to the other. I Don and number 39's know if they and number 39's still floating now or not. And the giant held an iron rod and set out. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.